Welcome to Airgun Academy, presented by Pyramyd Air, your online airgun resource.
In this episode, I'll talk about selecting the right pellet. The best pellets are not sold in discount stores. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's true. You can find pellets there that are okay, and in large sporting goods store chains, you can find pellets that are premium, but they also have some lower grade pellets alongside them. You may have to go to a place online like Pyramyd Air where they've got all the pellets to choose from. I assume that you know what a domed pellet is, and a pointed pellet, and a hollow point. I consider the domed pellets best for long range shooting, and I define long range as anything 20 yards and beyond, because for an air gun that's starting to get out there. In episode 25, we learned about the 4 calibers, 177, 20, 22, and 25. Now, in the 4 calibers, I have recommendations for each of them. For 177s, I recommend those for all your general shooting, your plinking, your target shooting. As a matter of fact, if you're doing international target shooting, 177 is the only caliber you can use. You can use a 177 to hunt with, but a 22 caliber is better for a number of reasons I'm not going to get into today. 22 caliber is just a little bit bigger pellet. It's more costly, so I don't recommend it for general shooting, although there's nothing wrong with it if you don't mind the extra cost. 20 caliber. It lived a short life. It's still alive. I don't want to hear your letters and your emails, but there are fewer 20 caliber pellets on the market today than there were 10 years ago. It's not a caliber that's experiencing a lot of popularity. Think about that when you choose a gun in caliber. 25 caliber, I could have said the same thing about 5 years ago, but 25 caliber has arrived. More guns are being made. Hunters love 25 caliber. They are more expensive, so be prepared to pay, but those big pellets are seeing a resurgence in popularity. I'd like now to talk about how the different power plants react to the pellets. Let's start with spring piston, since that's the most common. When the piston goes forward and compresses the air, it does so rapidly, and it compresses the air to a very high level, like 1,200 pounds per square inch. That air comes squirting through the air transfer port and hits the back of the pellet like a hammer blow. If the pellet has a thin skirt, it can actually deform the pellet. So you want to think about that when picking pellets for spring piston guns. Maybe you want to go with either pellets made of harder lead or pellets with a little bit heavier skirts. Your pneumatic and gas guns may be more powerful than your spring guns, especially your pre-charged pneumatics. And they use more air, and yet they don't hit that pellet as hard. So even though they're going to throw the pellet a lot faster, they're not going to start it off quite as fast. And you can use much thinner skirts in those guns. Now, oddly enough, it's just the opposite when you talk about what pellets work best in what kind of power plant. The spring guns, even though they're tough on pellets, they tend to work best with lighter pellets. The pneumatics and gas guns tend to work best with heavier pellets. Of course, you have to buy pellets and test them in your guns to find out for sure. Now I want to talk about loading systems, because some of them require a little thought. We all understand break barrel, where you just stuff the pellet into the barrel. That's pretty common. There is a action type called a rotary breech. Now, I had to cock this gun, and because I had to cock it, I'm going to have to fire it. I cocked it to show you the rotary breech. You see that? That breech, I'm going to slide the pellet down and into the barrel. But before I shoot an air gun, I'm always going to put my safety glasses on. I place the pellet in the rotary breech and I slide it into the barrel, return the under lever, close the breech, and fire the gun. A rotary breech does not need any special thought given to it because you're really loading directly into the barrel. But a tap loading gun like this one is different. Here you have a tap that swings open You drop a pellet in and you swing the tap closed like that. When you fire, the blast of air has to get behind the pellet, expand the skirt to seal the air, and push it into the barrel. So with a tap loading spring piston gun, you do want to use a thinner skirt. Now I'm going to show you another type of gun that has a magazine. This Benjamin Marauder. This is a .25 caliber and it has an 8-shot rotary magazine. The pellet has to go into this magazine and it can't be any larger than the magazine, and by larger I mean longer. If it is, you're going to end up with feeding problems and the magazine will not rotate. That's what it has to do. So when you're dealing with a magazine gun, always be concerned with the length of the pellet that you're putting in. Pellets also come in various head sizes. Not all pellets have head sizes, but some of them do, and they mark the head size on the tin. What you do with that is you find the pellet head size that works best in your gun and then try to always buy that size head of that pellet. If they're out of those, then try to buy the next size larger. Going smaller doesn't work as well. The last thing I want to do here is show you, when you're picking the best pellet, how to determine if it is the best pellet. And my secret is 10-shot groups. Let me show you. Same gun, same ammo, 5 shots. With 5 shots, you can get lucky. And sometimes your 5-shot groups will be amazing. Same gun, same ammo, 10 shots. You can't get lucky 10 times in a row. The odds are really against it. So I always shoot 10-shot groups with every pellet to find out which pellet is the best for each gun. We put a lot into this episode. We talked about how the best pellets are not sold in discount stores. We talked about how domed pellets are probably the most accurate shape for long-distance shooting. Wad cutters are fine, but they're for target shooting at close range only. We said pick 177 for your general shooting because they're less expensive, and pick 22 if you're a hunter. If you pick 20 or 25, know that there are fewer pellets to pick from, although in 25 that is changing. We also talked about the fact that spring guns are very hard on pellets. They work best with pellets that have thick skirts but are lighter in weight. Gas and pneumatic guns work better with heavier pellets, and they work fine with thin skirts. Look for a snug fit in the breech of the gun without the pellet having to be forced in. A loose fit is not good. We also looked at loading taps, rotary taps, the loading tap that I showed you where you have to drop the pellet in. And that tap, you remember, requires a thin skirt so the air blast can expand the pellet into the rifling. Pellets come with different head sizes, and if you can, test those head sizes for your gun. I always shoot 10-shot groups because I think that's the best way to tell whether a pellet's the right pellet. You can do 5 shots if you want. I always shoot at long range, which I define as 20 yards or more. I think if you do it that way, you're going to find the best pellet for your gun. Thank you for watching.